further supplementaries? There is not. Question number 7, Sarah Dowie.
Mr Speaker, my question is to the Minister for Economic Development. How would the Trans-Pacific Partnership help regional New Zealand?
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr Speaker, the Trans-Pacific Partnership is exciting news for businesses across New Zealand, but particularly for those in regional New Zealand. The TPP allows New Zealand exporters access to up to 800 million potential customers and covers 40% of existing global trade. In the US, the world's largest economy, in Japan, the world's third largest economy, and across the rapidly developing Asia-Pacific region, the TPP will benefit all our exporters by opening up fairer access to more markets, whether they're farmers in Hawke's Bay or the Manawatu, a wine grower in central Otago, or a manufacturer in the Waikato. Mr Speaker, as a government, we back our farmers, our horticulturalists, our wine growers and our manufacturers. We're confident they're equal to the best in the world. With this agreement, they'll get access to the big consumer markets to compete on a more equal footing with local suppliers.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Sarah Dowie.
To the Minister, what does the Trans-Pacific Partnership do?
Order. To Mr Prosser, that is the last warning he'll be getting during this question time. Would the member, Sarah Dowie, please repeat that
Thank
question?
you, Mr Speaker. To the Minister, what does the Trans-Pacific Partnership do for our farmers and other exporters in regional New Zealand?
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr Speaker, the impact will be significant. In 2014, our trade with TPP countries was worth more than $28 billion, or 45% of our total trade, including $2.7 billion in meat, $4 billion in dairy, $1.4 billion in forestry, nearly $1 billion in wine, and $1.2 billion in food and vegetable exports. Tariffs on beef exports to TPP countries will be eliminated with the exception only of Japan, where tariffs will reduce from 38.5% to 9%. Tariffs on all other primary sector exports, except some dairy products, will be eliminated completely, including fruit and vegetables, sheep meat, forestry products, seafood and wine. By 2030, the overall benefit of TPP to New Zealand is conservatively estimated to be at least $2.7 billion a year, and it's likely to be much better than that given our track record of exceeding the predictions of the China FTA, Mr Speaker.
Supplementary question, Fletcher Tabuto.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. What will individual Kiwi dairy farmers in the regions expect to receive between 2038 and 2048 from the US when, if it finally, possibly, axes tariffs on milk powder and a line of cheese?
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Well, Mr Speaker, the government has been quite open that we didn't get all we wanted from dairy, but dairy benefits $102 million in terms of the $260 million of tariff reductions, which is the largest single beneficiary. And as we've seen, Mr Speaker, it's not even so much the tariffs, even though that's good. What is really the benefit is the increase in trade that occurs as those tariffs drop. And that's what we've seen in China, Mr Speaker. That's what we'll see in the TPP. And I invite New Zealand First to continue to argue against the benefits of TPP for regional New Zealand.
Supplementary question, Sarah Dowie.
Why is free trade and international linkages important for regional New Zealand?
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Well, Mr Speaker, as a small country located at the bottom of the world, to grow our economy, it's critical that we trade with larger countries and that we sell more of our products and services on the world stage. For places like the Bay of Plenty, the home of kiwi fruit and zespri, have grown their sales by 16% in the last year. This is important. For places like Marlborough, Hawke's Bay and central Otago, part of a wine industry that has seen 8% annual growth in exports, this agreement is important. Mr Speaker, for dairy provinces like Waikato, Southland and Taranaki, where tariffs are dropping by $102 million, this deal is important. For all parts of regional New Zealand, where beef export revenues are up by over a third in the previous year, this agreement is important. Mr Speaker, this is a government that stands unashamedly in favour of trade access for regional New Zealand as the best way to grow our regional economies for the benefit of New Zealanders.
Supplementary question, Fletcher Tabuto.
Thank you, sir. How much will regional New Zealand actually benefit from a 3.25% slice of Canada's dairy industry, for example, given that country's high level of subsidies will continue to undermine our exporters' efforts?
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Well, Mr Speaker, there will be some benefit from that. There'll also be benefit in Mexico, benefit in Japan, benefit in the US, benefit around the Asia-Pacific region. And again, I invite Mr Tabuteau to continue with this line of attack. I invite him to go out to regional New Zealand and run these arguments and see how short shift he gets.
Supplementary question.
Supplementary question, Fletcher Tabuteau.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Can the Minister confirm Kiwi beef farmers will benefit more from the TPPA, or actually more from a free trade agreement with Russia, given the USDA says Russia could fall 40% short of meeting its own beef needs, in complete contrast to the TPP markets?
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Well, Mr Speaker, the member is free to argue of a free trade deal with Russia ahead of one with the TPP, ahead of one with China, ahead of one with, I don't know, the EU, wherever he likes. But actually, this agreement marks a red letter day for New Zealand. It will supply access to the beef markets, for example, in Mexico, which we've been shut out of, in Japan, and the member can decry it all he likes and suggest that we should do something else instead, but most New Zealanders, particularly in regional New Zealand, know the benefits that this agreement will bring.
Order. Supplementary question, Fletcher Tabuteau.
Thank you, sir. Would Mr Joyce not have more credibility selling coal to Newcastle?
Order. A question that way, quite out of order. Question number 8,